You for this introduction, and thank you very much for having me. Everybody can see the screen, the slide deck. Fantastic, fantastic. All right. Well, I know that you have been waiting for an hour, or at least have been in this call for an hour. So I'm kindly asking for a few more minutes of your attention. I'll try to go through this as quick as possible, but I think it's really important to touch on this topic of being a purpose-driven entrepreneur, the title of this event. So Beneath gave very good insights into how to be a sales person, how to successfully close. And Akash actually started the call with a serious question: Why are you doing what you're doing? And that is something to really consider a bit more deeply. And that's what I want to do in these next few minutes as well. So the purpose of this session is to help you gain clarity of your life's purpose. Why do you get out of bed every day? What should you be doing with your time? But before we go there, let me just tell you a little bit about my own journey. I was born and raised in the Netherlands, and when I was a teenager, I was misled to adopt this dodgy life model. You only live once, YOLO. So society encouraged me to live every day like it's your last, as if that is the pathway to freedom and happiness. So I wanted to be free and happy. And so I followed the advice, and I followed my friends and what everybody around me was doing. And I lived this hedonistic lifestyle full of cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs, trying to enjoy myself. I was going from one party to the next. I was always seeking for sense pleasure, but it didn't make me happy. In fact, it stopped me really from progressing in life. And so I was living this autopilot mode. I wasn't thinking about my pathway in life. I was simply following the directions of modern society. But YOLO didn't work for me. I wasn't free, I wasn't independent, nor was I in control. I was living a life glorified by others, and it didn't satisfy me. It was empty. I felt I had no purpose. I really felt that I was miserable. So when I moved to Australia in 2017, I discovered what is called Vedic philosophy and science. And I began to cultivate a higher thinking mindset. I started to view things differently, and I learned to meditate. I started making better decisions. I learned how to find satisfaction in mindfulness and living in service of others. So I started developing these brilliant life habits, and I took ownership of my life. I stopped smoking, stopped using drugs. I even stopped drinking alcohol altogether. And I decided I was going to take life seriously, and poisoning my body, my mind with intoxicant wasn't a part of that. So as a result, became much healthier and calmer. And in university, I constantly scored among the top 1% of my classmates, but I never felt stressed. So I weeded out the conflicting thoughts and ideas, and I found clarity of vision and purpose. And I slowly started to unfold my direction in life. And my life hasn't been better than now. I wake up every day looking forward to being of service, looking forward to spending my time in a useful way. So I'm not in doubt anymore. I'm not stuck anymore. I know my direction in life, and I have a solid, progressive daily routine. I make time for important things. I work effectively. I engage in deep work, and I'm not easily distracted. And I rarely waste my time. Of course, unexpected things happen, but I learn not to bitch about things that I don't control, and instead only focus on the things that I do control. And this is an absolute game changer. I can support those around me, especially my wife, Denise, and I'm now in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. But that's just scratching the surface. So let's just dive into this concept for a minute, this YOLO concept. Let me know in the chat. Have you ever heard of YOLO? Let me just quickly drop a yes in the chat box. Have you heard of this concept, YOLO? You only live once. All right, okay. I'm going to say a few things that, and maybe I've already done so, that may go against your current thinking. And so I want you to just consider this idea. Don't judge it too quickly. Just consider this idea. This thinking is that you only live once, so you have to make the most of it. The world is your oyster. Live every day like it's your last, that sort of thing. And people also call it living in the now, but it has become a bit perverted. In reality, people are just greedy and selfish and do whatever they want to do. And that is quite unfortunate. So, why is that unfortunate? Well, this mentality has a major effect on our ability to develop relationships, personally, but also business relationships, and will affect how you will do business as well. So, fundamentally, relationships means that it's not just about me. Relationship means that there's at least two people, and there needs to be a right balance of give and take. So we need to find a way to navigate through life together. Real living in the now is in fact a really big idea, and it involves compassion. It involves not just exploiting others, not just using others, not just taking things. Living in the now has a lot to do with giving, but we'll come back to that later. So ideas such as YOLO drive people to consume incessantly. The drive to consume strongly influences our self-concern, our self-centeredness. And because of the way modern society is engineered, everything is focused on me, 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 me. And we strive for expedience, for short-term gain, for instant gratification, just to satisfy our desires, our mind's desires. But ancient wisdom and modern science both teach us that these desires for short-term gain, for quick pleasures, for enjoying the senses are all products of the mind. And an intelligent person can understand that whatever you put your mind on, you will start to cultivate a desire for that thing. And advertisers understand that perfectly well. So I want to just show you this example. You may recognize this example. You walk around in, let's say, a shopping center or a train station or somewhere, and you smell the scent of fresh baked bread. And it makes you hungry, and you decide to get something to eat. You don't even think about it. But what happened there is that your nose registered the smell of bread, and then your mind started contemplating on the smell, making you feel hungry, nudging you to eat, and then you happily followed that suggestion and you bought a sandwich or something else. At first, you weren't hungry, you weren't even thinking of food, but just the smell triggered you to buy something. And what's interesting is that that scent that they use is often not even real bread. It's just a scent distribution machine that they use to trigger your senses. Now, it's not that buying something from a bakery is such a dangerous thing, but it does easily or illustrate how easily our decisions, our actions are influenced by our mind. And that happens through what our senses register. Another example is something that happens through sights. So let's say you're in a relationship and you're scrolling through Instagram. You're liking photos of good-looking people from the opposite sex, and the more of these photos you're watching, the more of these photos will show up in your algorithm. The more you will like the photos, and the more you will start cultivating a desire to hook up with someone outside of your relationship. Now, that's something that can lead to serious consequences. And so you may not do this intentionally, but slowly but gradually, you develop this attachment for something. And if you're not cautious, you may act on those desires and start to do stupid things. Now, it is important to understand that blindly following our senses doesn't produce meaningful outcomes. And I just want to show this piece of research here for you. In the well-being literature, they speak of the hedonic treadmill. And this means that the surge of joy that someone experiences after some material pleasure, let's say buying a new phone or a car or getting a promotion or winning a lottery, the joy you get from such an experience will always return to the level it was at before you achieve that thing, right? So we see that baseline of level of happiness in the orange line there. And so in essence, there's no real satisfaction there. And we're always looking for the next thing. And that causes us to get stuck in this endless cycle, blinded by desire, striving for things that don't produce long-term happiness. And the more we seek happiness in the wrong place, the more we follow the desires of our mind, the more we become self-centered. And when people become increasingly self-centered, they act in a selfish way and sacrifice positive relationships with people dear to them. So what we need is something better, something of real value, something of real meaning. And in today's society, there is a huge struggle to find meaning. But we can learn from the ancient scholars. And when combining their insights with modern science, we can understand where meaning is to be found. So if we focus less on what's in it for me and focus more on what can I give, how can I contribute, how can I be of service, then meaning will arise. Um, So, and this is something that the Dalai Lama also promotes as well. When he speaks about happiness, how to get happy, what he says is that happiness is consists of two things, and that is purpose and service. So you want to have some purpose, some goal in mind, and that's what Akash at the start of this call spoke about as well. You need to have it very clear what it is that you're going to do with your life to make it worthwhile. And the second one is service. As I just explained, rather than focusing on stuff for myself, how can I be of value to others? Because research shows that if you help other people, of course, it's going to help them, it's going to make them happy, but ultimately, it's going to make you feel happy as well. So, what I have done with my research, I've combined these two things, and I'm bringing both purpose and service together in what I call your highest level of service. So, your highest level of service is a statement that answers your why, that articulates your reason for getting out of bed every day. It will enable you to make better decisions and stay on a path that leads toward a meaningful life. And this covers a couple of questions to help you define your statement. So, building on Akash's questions, let me just ask you first this question. Why do you have the life that you have? You don't have to put it in the chat. I just want you to consider how is it that you are where you are right now? What emotions you experience on a daily basis, whether you're happy, joyful, fulfilled, whether you're sad, bitter, or angry, whether you are in a dream
Hungry.
job or study, whether you are unsatisfied with where you are, whether you have many friends and many meaningful relationships, or whether you are lonely. What determines all that? Well, what determines that is your decisions. Whatever decisions you've been making has led you to the life you got. And to make progress in life, it's crucial that we acknowledge and respect that we accept responsibility instead of pointing the finger and blaming everyone else, or the economy, or our parents, or God even. Ultimately, we're responsible for our life. We choose what we put in our body, what we eat, what we drink, what we inhale, the way we spend our time, our money, who we hang out with. We all have 24 hours per day, but it's up to you how to use that. So why does one person spend 1 hour meditating and another person spend 1 hour streaming Netflix or building a business or doing some service? It's because the decisions that they make. And unless someone's really holding a gun to your head, you're in control of your decisions. And what determines the decisions that you make? Right, your values. Whatever is important to you, that's what guides the decisions that you make every day. So I want you to consider three questions. What do you deeply value? You don't have to answer this right now, but consider after this call or whenever you have time, list 3 to 5 of your values. What are the things that are most dear to you, most important to you? Because these things will ultimately help you to drive your decisions. I'll keep it short and move to the next one. The second question you want to ask yourself is what is a vital need in the world? When you look around, you may recognize that there's a lot of things wrong with the world. And based on your values, based on your life principles, you will gravitate to those needs that are close to your heart. So I want you to just list 3 to 5 vital needs in the world. And if you struggle with this, you can explore the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which are no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, etc. So remember that based on the insights in what I just told you, the needs related to the welfare of people are considered most important needs because they provide you with the most meaning. So when you have the time, consider this question carefully. And then the third question is what skills can you use to serve a higher purpose? So when you know your value and you know what the world needs, you can assess what you can bring to the table to make progress in overcoming these challenges. Wherever you are, whatever education you have, whatever job you're doing, if you're a promoter for Maven Consultancy, and if you're wanting to help people to become a permanent resident or whatever it is that you help them to help them to grow their future, you want to have that in mind, and what are the skills that you have to help achieve the goals of these people. And so you have an immense capacity to do good, and so to set things right in your own life, but more so beyond yourself. And so you can decide to align your life with a good cause, a higher purpose, and contribute to greater good. And as I said, that's good for others, but it's also good for you. And one thing to note is that it's important to not overdo it. You should aim high, but you should start small. And so look at what are the things that you can fix today, and then start fixing them. And by fixing something small every day, you will make monumental progress in the long term. So I guess that is the takeaway from this call, is that I want you to consider doing your business with a purpose mindset, with clear ideas of why is it in the first place that you are doing your things, because that is ultimately going to help you achieve your goals, and more so live a meaningful life. So to leave you with something is, I encourage you to do something great, but it doesn't matter how small that is. If it's just a little thing, if you do enough little things, you'll become a person who can really do great for the world. So thank you very much. If you want to explore something about what I am doing, you can visit my website or follow me on these channels. But I'd like to thank you. There's a lot of people that have stuck to the end. So thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for having me.
Maven Consulting Group. Career and Visa Specialists.